Right, so South Africa is taking a third turn at the International Court of Justice, having submitted an emergency request for further provisional measures and modification of the ICJ's ruling, this time in light of the starvation being inflicted on the Gazan people. Having successfully proven their case at the end of January, with the ICJ indicating a plausible case for genocide against Israel, an attempt last month for further measures failed, with the ICJ simply urging Israel to follow the letter of their January judgment. So will things be different this time, as Israel continued to blatantly disregard these rulings, having already publicly denounced them and stating they will not be following them? Right, so it was really disappointing stuff last month when the International Court of Justice, in light of the continued and relentless genocide in Gaza being committed by Israel, and in light of the provisional orders they themselves laid down against Israel, they chose not to use their additional powers within their possession to mete out further constraints on the genocidal regime. I have no doubt at all that they would ignore them in Israel, but it heaps further pressure on other countries still aiding them, or still sitting on their hands, to pull their fingers out and do something about this ongoing humanitarian disaster. So what's changed this time that South Africa think will make a difference? Well, for one, at the point of South Africa's submission, Israel was still within that 1 month period the ICJ had given them to report on the actions they had taken in order to demonstrate they were taking notice of the ICJ's rulings and provisional orders. The time is now well past, and Israel have indeed, it might surprise you to know, made a submission, but it's not been made public. This is somewhat annoying, given it is no doubt a pack of lies that deserve to be shredded by the world, not least myself. They left it until the very last day they had to submit it, which was the 26th of February, but none of its contents have been disclosed except to the ICJ themselves. Now, if they decide this is demonstrably nonsense that they've been given, as I would imagine they would, I would hope they would, I can't imagine Israel have all of a sudden found an honesty bone in their bodies, could that sway them in South Africa's direction now? Certainly, South Africa can, and have in their latest submission, pointed to their second request dated the 12th of February, which concerned Rafah, concerned a lot of indication of where Israel were not meeting the terms of the ICJ's provisional orders from the first ruling, dated the 26th of January, from South Africa's first submission. But one of the defining aspects of the genocide, certainly over the last month, has been the starvation. Images of children having starved to death are pervading social media at the moment, and this has served as the basis for South Africa's latest attempt at getting further provisional orders placed upon Israel. The latest submission is considerably shorter than we've seen previously, and it reads, "The Republic of South Africa submits an urgent request for the indication of additional provisional measures and the modification of the court's prior provisional measures, order and decision. The Hague, 6th of March 2024. South Africa today filed an urgent request with the court for the indication of additional provisional measures and the modification of the court's order of 26th of January 2024 and decision of 16th of February 2024 in the case concerning application of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in the Gaza Strip, South Africa versus Israel." In its new request, South Africa states that it is compelled to return to the court in light of the new facts and changes in the situation in Gaza, particularly the situation of widespread starvation, brought about by the continuing egregious breaches of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide by the State of Israel and its ongoing manifest violations of the provisional measures indicated by this court on the 26th of January 2024. It requests the court to indicate further provisional measures and or to modify the provisional measures indicated in its order of 26th of January 2024 pursuant to Article 41 of the Statute of the Court and Article 75 paragraphs 1 and 3 and Article 76 paragraph 1 of the Rules of Court, respectively, in order urgently to ensure the safety and security of 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza, including over 1 million children. It urges the court to do so without holding a hearing in light of the extreme urgency of the situation. People are starving to death daily now. The urgency of the request here is fully warranted in my opinion. I would hope on this occasion the court listens, especially now they have that submission from Israel, whatever farce of a submission that may be that has been made by Israel to them. Seemingly the only provisional order that they have in fact followed. They have, as you might have expected, jibbed off about South Africa doing the heavy lifting of carrying international law for the entire planet, it seems, as they still are doing. As a spokesman a spokesperson for the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a chap called Lior Hayat, took to Twitter to trot out the oh-so-boring and predictable. South Africa continues to act as the legal arm of Hamas in an attempt to undermine Israel's inherent right to defend itself and its citizens, and to release all of the hostages. The repeated requests for provisional measures made by South Africa in order to assist Hamas are yet another cynical exploitation of the International Court of Justice in The Hague, which has already twice rejected the baseless attempts to deny Israel its right and obligation of self-defense. Israel acts and will continue to act in accordance with international law, including by facilitating humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, regardless of any legal proceedings. We call on the ICJ to reject outright the new request of the representatives of Hamas. Well, they only rejected the last attempt, sunshine, and frankly the ICJ by its own orders was still giving you the full time accorded by them. That's run out now, but dishonesty appears to be as much Israel's stock in trade as apartheid is, and now just as much as it ever was. Kids are starving to death by your nation's hands as your citizens, your settler types, your Zionist sociopaths cheer and wave and block humanitarian aid getting in by road. Jordan has been airdropping in supplies where it can, acting of its own volition. The US, perversely, has been doing likewise, whilst it still won't sanction Israel or withdraw its support. A demonstration to my mind that Genocide Joe has lost control entirely of the Israel project, and the only response from Israel itself is to fall back on the lame-ass, pathetic, well-worn-out and utterly false claims that anyone supporting Palestine, standing with the people of Gaza, over 30,000 of whom are now dead by Israeli hands, are actually supporting Hamas. South Africa have been accused of being the political mouthpieces of Hamas, their legal arm. Have you ever known such a whingy government in all your life as that of Israel? What a bunch of whiners! Why won't you stop picking on us? Why won't you just let us do our genocide in peace? Heck, the only thing that surprised me in that statement is they didn't play the anti-Semitism card as well. But as much as any of us can sit here all day and condemn Israel for what they are doing, and justifiably so, equally we should be condemning every other country for what they are not. Not withdrawing support, not condemning Israel as well, not standing up for Palestine, and that also goes for the ICJ if, at this point now, they still choose not to act additionally, as they are well within their rights to do, and abilities, and more questions about the effectiveness of that branch of the UN will surely follow if they don't. I wish South Africa's lawyers, again, the very best of luck. If you want to find out more about that second submission of South Africa's, which fell in more detail because it wasn't as widely covered as the first one was, then do check out this video recommendation here, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next feed. Cheers, folks.